Deep in the Bay of Bengal, there's a small island covered in trees called North Sentinel Island. It's home to the Sentinelese, one of the most isolated tribes in the world. For hundreds of years they've lived almost completely cut off from everyone else. Their world is like a time capsule, untouched by modern life, and it's full of mysteries. Scientists think the Sentinelese are descended from some of the very first humans who left Africa. They might have lived on this island for 60,000 years. Their language is unlike any other and we don't understand it. Because they're so isolated, they give us a special glimpse into our shared human history. The Sentinelese are known for not wanting anything to do with outsiders. They've always pushed back against anyone trying to get close, and they've often been hostile. In 2006, 2 fishermen who were fishing illegally near the island were killed by the Sentinelese. This showed just how much they want to be left alone. There have been other times people tried to make contact, some peacefully, some not. But the Sentinelese have always stayed apart. The Indian government, which is in charge of the island, has a policy of no contact, meaning they leave the Sentinelese alone. The Sentinelese have a really interesting relationship with fire. Unlike other tribes who might make fire themselves, the Sentinelese seem to carefully carry and keep it burning. People have seen them carrying burning wood in clay pots, probably to keep the embers alive. This shows they understand how important fire is and how to keep it going. We don't know how they first got fire, which makes them even more mysterious. Their skill with fire shows how clever and resourceful they are on their island. The Sentinelese live in a world all their own. They don't know about countries, governments, or technology. Their whole world is the island, and they spend their time surviving there. They hunt, gather food, and grow some of their own crops. Being isolated has protected them from diseases that are common elsewhere, because they probably haven't built up any resistance to them, but this also makes them very vulnerable. If someone were to bring a disease to the island, it could be devastating for them. The Sentinelese teach us an important lesson about respecting different cultures and ways of life. They choose to be isolated, and they've protected that choice for centuries. It's our job to respect their decision and make sure they can continue to live as they choose. The Indian government's policy of leaving them alone is really important for their safety. We can still learn about them by watching from a distance, but we shouldn't interfere. Their story reminds us that there are many different ways for humans to live, and it's important to protect that diversity. Hey everyone! Today we're diving deep into the North Sentinel Island and learning about the incredible Sentinelese people. This island is like a giant green grocery store for them. It's got everything they need. They know what to eat, what to hunt, and how to use everything around them without harming nature. It's really cool. The Sentinelese are like the ultimate survival experts. They can find food anywhere. They gather fruits and nuts from the forest and hunt animals. And get this, they're amazing fishermen too. They use special tools and tricks passed down from their ancestors to catch fish in the ocean. And their homes? They build them using stuff they find on the island, like leaves and wood. It shows how connected they are to their home. Everything they do is about working with nature, not against it. This helps them survive and protects their island. They teach us a big lesson. We can live sustainably, just like them. They've survived for centuries because they understand and respect their environment. It's important to remember that we should observe them from afar and let them be. Their story reminds us that protecting nature and respecting the knowledge of indigenous people like the Sentinelese is super important for everyone. They show us that humans and nature need to exist in balance, and that's a really important lesson for keeping our planet healthy. The Sentinelese people don't just have a deep connection with nature, they also have a rich and interesting culture that's been passed down for many, many years. The way they live and the things they believe in show just how strong and adaptable they are. The Sentinelese live in small, close groups, kind of like big families. They make decisions together so everyone has a say. This helps them work together and face any problems that come up. Rituals are really important to the Sentinelese. We don't know everything about their ceremonies because they live so far away, but we believe they have special rituals for big life events like births, weddings, and funerals. These rituals help them stay close as a community and feel connected to their ancestors and nature. The Sentinelese's beliefs are very connected to the environment. They probably see certain parts of nature and animals as sacred, maybe even as spirits of their ancestors. This connection to nature guides everything they do and helps them live in harmony with the island. It's really important for us to understand and respect the Sentinelese's culture and beliefs. Their traditions aren't just things of the past, they're a big part of who they are today. As we learn more about the Sentinelese, we have to remember that they choose to live isolated. By respecting their wish to be left alone, we're respecting their right to live the way they want and protecting their culture for future generations. The Sentinelese remind us of the amazing connection between people and nature. Their culture teaches us important lessons about living sustainably and in harmony with the environment, which is something we all need to think about today. Hey everyone! Today, we're going to talk about the Sentinelese people, who live on a remote island in the Bay of Bengal. They live a very isolated life, and that comes with some unique challenges. Living apart has kept them safe from a lot of the problems in the modern world, but it also makes them vulnerable in other ways. Think about it, they live on a small island, so natural disasters like cyclones and tsunamis are a big threat. And with climate change and rising sea levels, that danger is even greater. These events can destroy their homes and the food they rely on. Climate change itself is another problem. Changes in the weather can make it harder for them to find fresh water and food. They live in a very specific environment, and any changes can make it really tough for them to survive. Another big worry is disease. The Sentinelese haven't been exposed to the common illnesses that most of us have built up defenses against. If someone from the outside world visits, even if they mean well, they could spread diseases that could be really dangerous for the Sentinelese. But their isolation also keeps them safe. They don't have to deal with a lot of the bad stuff that happens in the rest of the world. It's a tricky situation. They're safe from some things, but in danger from others. It's important for us to understand these challenges so we can respect their choice to live in isolation. Their way of life is fragile, and we need to protect them from both natural disasters and problems caused by humans. The Sentinelese are incredibly strong and resourceful. They've survived for a long time, and it's our job to make sure they can keep living the way they want, safe and free from outside pressures. While the Sentinelese are perhaps the most well-known isolated tribe, they are not alone in their way of life. Across the globe, several other tribes live in isolation, each with unique stories, challenges, and cultures. Take for instance the Yanomami people of the Amazon rainforest. Like the Sentinelese, the Yanomami have fiercely guarded their territory and way of life. Their environment, deep in the dense jungle, provides natural barriers against the outside world. However, they face threats from illegal mining and deforestation, which bring diseases and disrupt their traditional lifestyle. In the Andaman Islands, not far from the Sentinelese, the Jarawa tribe also lives in isolation. While they share some similarities with the Sentinelese in terms of their resistance to outside contact, the Jarawa have had more interactions with modern society. This has led to both opportunities and challenges, including exposure to new illnesses and cultural shifts. Moving to the highlands of Papua, the Korowai people live in tree houses high above the forest floor. Their isolation is partly due to the rugged terrain and dense forests. Unlike the Sentinelese, the Korowai have had more contact with outsiders in recent years, leading to changes in their traditional way of life. This contact has brought both benefits, such as healthcare, and challenges, such as cultural erosion. These comparisons highlight that while the Sentinelese are unique, their experiences echo those of other isolated tribes around the world. Each tribe faces a delicate balance between preserving their way of life and dealing with external threats. Their stories remind us of the rich diversity of human cultures and the importance of respecting their choices and boundaries. Understanding these similarities and differences can help us appreciate the complexity of their existence and the importance of protecting their autonomy. By learning from the experiences of other isolated tribes, we can better support the Sentinelese and ensure they continue to thrive in their chosen way of life. In the next scene, we'll explore the future of the Sentinelese and what steps can be taken to protect their unique way of life. Let's think about what the future holds for the Sentinelese. One possibility is that they'll keep living the way they always have, protected by the water surrounding their island and the laws that are in place to keep them safe. This means they can keep their traditions alive without anyone bothering them or bringing in new dangers, but the world around them is always changing. Things like climate change, rising sea levels, and illegal fishing could harm the Sentinelese and their island. These problems make us wonder if they can stay isolated forever without any help. What if someone tries to contact them? The Sentinelese have shown they want to be left alone, but there might be a time when contact is unavoidable, like a natural disaster or something unexpected. If that happens, it's super important to be extremely careful and respectful of their independence. We can learn from other isolated tribes and how things went when they were contacted. It's really important for everyone around the world to know about the Sentinelese and why it's crucial to respect their isolation. By teaching people about this, we can prevent anyone from bothering them and support rules that protect their way of life. When we talk about the Sentinelese, we must always think ethically. Their right to choose their own path and preserve their culture should guide everything we do. As we look ahead, it's clear that the Sentinelese have both good things and challenges in their future. By respecting their choices and protecting their environment, we can help make sure they continue to live in their own special way. The Sentinelese remind us that people and cultures are diverse and that it's important to protect everyone's right to live autonomously. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of the Sentinelese. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on unique cultures and their stories. Hey everyone, as we wrap up our look at the Sentinelese people, let's remember the important things we talked about. Living on North Sentinel Island, they're one of the very few groups on Earth who've kept their own way of life for so long. They've always protected their home and kept their traditions alive. It's amazing how they use fire, live off the land, and are so connected to nature. But being so isolated also makes them vulnerable. Things like climate change or accidental contact with the outside world could be dangerous for them. We've seen how trying to force contact with other isolated tribes, even with good intentions, can have really bad results. That's why respecting the Sentinelese's desire to be left alone is not just the right thing to do, it's the only way to make sure they survive. Looking ahead, the Sentinelese have both good things and challenges in their future. If we respect their independence and protect their island, we can help keep their way of life safe. Their story reminds us that people live in many different ways, and we should protect everyone's right to exist in their own way. Thanks for joining me to learn about the Sentinelese. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more videos about amazing cultures around the world. Let's keep learning about, respecting, and protecting the diversity of people on our planet.